Hi, this is Pavel with another episode of PhD Tips. And today I'd like to answer a question that I've actually asked myself many times as I was doing my PhD over the last several years, which has to do with how different is my PhD experience compared to everybody else's. And I feel the reason I ask myself this question is because I never believed truly that my experience could be similar to a friend of mine or a student in another university or institute. And I always felt that this made me alone, if you will, right? I never truly, honestly felt completely alone. I had a really good support system, but there were times when I was wondering whether or not I could share what I'm going through with somebody and whether somebody would truly understand everything that I have to go through. So the question that I want to answer today is every PhD the same or is actually different? And spoiler alert, in my opinion, I think that indeed every PhD has a lot of similarities. And that's why I'm making this video to encourage everybody who is a PhD student currently to talk to one another and communicate, because believe me, there are actually more similarities than differences between individual PhD experiences. And I'm gonna actually share several key similarities that I found in my experience and talking with other students that are very similar between all PhDs. The first is we have the common goal of working through the difficult projects, the difficult research tasks that we have in front of us. We overcome obstacles and we ultimately try and find solutions to the questions that we have, the struggles that we have, and try to ultimately answer some of the mysteries that are still out there in the world. So relating to people on that level of just the pursuit of knowledge and pursuit of that same goal of graduation, I think that's the first common ground that everybody has. That's important to understand that we are all on the same journey. And whether or not the outcome of that journey will be the same for everybody or not, at least we all have that mentality. Okay, we are in it to graduate, to get our research published, and so on. Before I go further, please check out my other videos on PhD tips that I've done previously, as well as my conversations with other scientists that talk about their experience in academia as well as the industry. So the second important similarity is, even though the research is very complex and everybody has their own peculiarities with tools that they use, techniques that they use, how the research is conducted, there are actually same three characteristics. We need to be aware of what came before us, meaning we have to do our own research, read the literature and so on, and understand what was done already. We then, secondly, need to find a question that is yet unanswered. And I've actually made a video on how to select a proper research topic that will actually help you graduate. That's another big characteristic. And the third is we are all attempting to answer that very complex topic. So the framework of the PhDs is actually pretty much the same, right? We're doing hypothesis-driven research. We're trying to come up with a method to test our hypothesis, and then we get the results. So the third similarity that I think all PhDs share and PhD students can actually talk to each other about is the struggles, right? The struggles, everybody has, let's say, different struggles at different time points, different magnitudes that affects them differently, but we all have struggles. And that's important to realize, that even though your struggles may not be exactly reproducible in another person, in another PhD student, we all have them. And it's okay to talk about them, because we as PhD students can relate to that. We can relate to the struggles with communicating your knowledge with supervisor, finding a rapport with your laboratory teammates, or just something that's not working. I mean, I think pretty much any PhD student would tell you that at some point in their PhD, something didn't work, and that's okay. So that's a very important similarity. Fourth thing that I'd like to talk about is, can we actually empathize with other students, even though we have different experience? And I think the answer to that question, whether or not we can empathize with other students, is yes, because we know what it's like to have laid a plan and then see that plan just sort of fail miserably in front of our eyes. It could be, the magnitudes can be different, but we all had that ultimate sort of failure type experience. And the fifth one, the fifth similarity, I think you can look at it in different ways. The outcome of PhD for a lot of students is not necessarily graduation, right? For some students, it's actually, they do not see that to completion. They actually quit their PhDs or move on to do other things. And I think that even though the outcome is different, and there are many reasons for that, we all have moments in our PhD which we could relate to one another when we are feeling doubts that we can graduate. And I've had that fairly few times over the course of my PhD. And I know a lot of my friends also had that experience where they were not sure if they could complete their studies, or something failed so dramatically that they were not sure how to proceed next. And that's the big similarity between all PhDs, whether they've completed it or they haven't, right? Is the feeling of something not working so much so that you have this self-doubt and questioning your self-worth. Similarities also actually don't stop with PhDs. Actually, the similarities go beyond PhD, whether or not you have graduated with PhD or ultimately went to do something else. And that's actually an imposter syndrome. I think everybody, including myself, did experience imposter syndrome after graduating PhD or after completing that portion of our life journey. And that's something that we can all relate to at some point as well. So the reason I made this video is to encourage students to talk to one another and realize that there are more similarities than there are differences in the PhD process than you might think. And I would hope that the videos that I make that do share some advice will ultimately help you graduate faster, help you own your scientific journey. And I look forward to sharing more knowledge and experience, including from my own PhD experience, with all of you guys. So thank you very much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. Give it a like if you found this interesting, and please leave a comment down below with other suggestions for videos or questions if you have them about PhD journey that you have or you're about to start. I look forward to reading them and responding to them. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bye-bye.